Good morning and welcome to Mornings on Main Street for this Tuesday, the 16th of May. I'm your host, Stefanie Miller. We hope your day is off to a great start already, and we appreciate you stopping by this morning. Coming up on today's show, we head to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to sit down with the owner of Gallagher Guitars. It's a company there in Murfreesboro continuing on a long tradition of making handcrafted guitars. We get a little history lesson this morning in their Doc Watson model, and then we learn all about the upcoming Gallagher Guitars 58th birthday celebration. And then in our segment with Tom Adkinson this morning, he's our Tennessee traveler. Well, he's taking us to David Crockett State Park to let us know that what we can discover when we make a trip there to the park. But first, let's get a check of the headlines. We start by looking at the findings from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's 2022 Crime on Campus report on crime at Middle Tennessee State University. Crime at MTSU accounted for about 6% of total crimes reported on Tennessee college and university campuses in 2022. MTSU's police chief tells the Murfreesboro Post that crime was up by 38 reported incidents last year, but that crime on campus is still low overall. Read the full findings by going to murfreesboropost.com. Modern women's health services provider Diana Health in Springfield is now open and bringing full scope and innovative women's health services to Robertson County and the surrounding areas there. Now, the ribbon cutting that you see here, it was held on April 27th. Services include the following: prenatal care, labor and delivery, postpartum care, and gynecological services. The company also integrates personalized care planning with classes, mental health counseling, and even wellness coaching into its clinical offerings. And you can learn so much more about Diana Health by going to robertsoncountyconnection.com. All right, it's a little early for this, but mark your calendars anyways. I'm talking September 28th through October 1st for Uncle Dave Macon Day's Bluegrass and Roots Music Festival. This year, the event is happening in Shelbyville, Tennessee at the Cooper Still Arena on the Tennessee Walking Horse Celebration Grounds. And get more on the history of this event and just how much fun it is, plus parking information and more at mainstreetmediatn.com. I look forward to this one this year. This is a festival that I attended when I was younger, dancing with Robert Spicer and the Dixon County Buck Dancers, but it's a good time. Let's get a check of our weather and see what's in the future forecast from our friends over at Tennessee Valley Weather.
Hey folks, happy Tuesday to you. Ben Luna here with you in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. As we head through today, keep raincoats and umbrellas close by. A cold front is going to be working its way across the area, producing more widely spread areas of rainfall, maybe a few thunder showers as well this afternoon and into the early evening. The good news that moisture moves out of the area. We do start tomorrow with a few clouds, but I do think some sunshine will break through those clouds on your Wednesday, making for a decent day across the mid-state region. Here's a look at the next 7 days from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. And again, kind of a rain on, rain off, rain on, and rain off again. Just kind of that on and off forecast here over the course of the next few days. Wednesday is looking to be a dry day before a few scattered showers return here Thursday of this week. More rainfall on deck, including storms Friday into Saturday. Notice our temperature trends. We dial back just a little bit for tomorrow and then warm back up by the end of the week. I'll leave you with a final look at the forecast. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. And as always, we'll talk to you soon.
Since 1965, Gallagher Guitars has been making world-class guitars right here in the Tennessee area. And let me tell you, they're now in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and the owner we have here right now to tell us all about Gallagher and an upcoming celebration. We have Mr. David Mathis. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to know what we're doing. This is a big event for us coming up. It's our 58th birthday, which is a big deal.
That is huge. And tell us first off more about Gallagher Guitar and where it started,
okay,
and what you're doing now with it, because you've been in ownership of Gallagher Guitar for how long now?
Since 2020.
Okay.
The end of 2019. Okay. So Gallagher started in 1965. J.W. Gallagher was living his life down in War Trace, building high quality Queen Anne style furniture. and doing great work. I've seen some of those pieces. But in Shelbyville, there was a factory that wanted to start building guitars. And they reached out to him, being a woodworker, and another man, being a machinist, and they put together an assembly line to build these guitars. Actually, one's right behind me there called the Shelby guitar. He knew nothing about building guitars. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't a school to go to. So he bought old guitars and took them to his bandsaw, cut them open, and reverse engineered guitars. And he did that for about 2 years, but they were just kind of run-of-the-mill retail guitars, and he wanted to build Queen Anne style. And Queen Anne style means that he was building a higher quality guitar than really there was anywhere at that time. So they became the first boutique guitar builder in the U.S.
Wow.
That is really some history there.
That's incredible history.
Yeah. And it came at a time that Gibson and Martin, their quality had suffered some, and so here comes this guy right in the middle of that, elevating everything. And then the poster behind us actually is Doc Watson. And in 1968, they met at a music festival, and they had 2 guitars. J.W. and his son Don went down to this music festival. They only had 2 guitars available to show at that festival. They met Doc and his son Merle, and Merle liked the guitars. He said, "Come to our house tomorrow, we'd like to play them." And Doc liked the mahogany guitar called a G50. But J.W. was a perfectionist. His label, his original label actually said guaranteed perfect. Who does that anymore?
Well, anymore, no.
No. But it had an imperfection in it. And so Doc wanted to buy it. J.W. wouldn't sell it because it had an imperfection. And so he said, "I'll loan it to you. You can have it as long as you want it. When you don't want it anymore, give it back to me." And that same guitar became very famous. He used it on the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? It became nicknamed Old Hoss. It's sat in the Country Music Hall of Fame for years. After his death, it was auctioned through Christie's, and Ed Helms, the actor, bought it for $40,000 and still owns it today. So there's this steep history with bluegrass and Doc Watson. Doc Watson's not really just bluegrass, right? But you know some of that history yourself from your background. But there's this really rich history that we're able to continue today.
Doc Watson's name.
Yes.
Signature being used, of course, by Gallagher Guitar. Explain that a little bit.
Well, the background story of that is Doc had the G50 Old Hoss, and he and the band, they were playing in Nashville at Exit Inn. And J.W. went up to have dinner with them before the show, and J.W. said, "I'd like to build another guitar for you." And Doc had 4 things that he wanted in that guitar. If it was going to be a new model, he wanted 4 things that were different than what he currently had. And one of the band members was T. Michael Coleman. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he was the bass player. And T. Michael told me this story. He said, so basically on a napkin in TGI Fridays, they designed what became the Doc Watson model.
Shut the front door.
And,
wow.
And that first came out in 1974. And that's a guitar that we still build according to those specifications that he wanted. And then later, and I don't know what year this was, they decided to build the Doc Watson signature model. And it's got some really nice appointments to it to make it look really nice. But most importantly, it has his signature that we inlay on the 12th fret. And that's we're the only ones that has possession of that signature for that purpose. And so that's another way in which we're carrying on that tradition.
So beautiful. Such rich history since 1965 here for Gallagher Guitar. And we could sit and talk for hours. And anyone in music, I mean, and not in music, you know that we could do that. But that's a story for another day. So we just got a bit of fun history there from Gallagher Guitars. David Mathis sticks with us. When we come back, we get to learn all about what we can expect at this weekend's 58th birthday celebration for Gallagher Guitars.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Who wouldn't love a stuffed booster? I know I sure would, or any sort of sound swag, all of which can be found at Nashville Sounds Pro Shop. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television would love to invite you out to Sunday Family Fun Day, each Sunday home game. You can also register to win free tickets by going to your favorite Main Street Media website. Register to win, and then we'll see you here at the ballpark. What is it like for you taking this over in 2019 to carry it on?
Well, I had my early experience with guitar was related to Gallagher Guitars. And I lived close. I'd visited the factory when I was younger. They'd always been on my radar. I would check on them. Over the past few years, my wife had never been to the shop. We'd be down in that area and I'd say, oh, let's go by the shop, see if anybody's there. Nobody was ever there. So it was becoming obvious that things were declining. Don ran the business for 40 years.
And this is what part of town? What town?
Wartrace, Tennessee.
Okay.
And so they announced in May of 2019 that they had closed. And it seemed really sad, right? And a couple of months later, I started thinking about approaching them. And by the end of 2019, I was able to purchase the company to keep it going. Which is also very interesting to me that Don had made the decision emotionally to let it go and thought that history had ended. And then he gave permission for it to be born again.
Have you talked to him?
Oh yes, we stay in contact.
Do you? Okay, so how was the ending for him? And I guess what was it like for him to see or to know it's not over yet?
Well, he's very pleased with it. He's very happy with what we're doing. He's very excited about that. He's going to be our honored guest on May 27th.
That was going to be a question.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I'll have some things come up. Someone will ask me something, I won't know the answer, and I'll call Don.
Speed dial right there.
Yes, yeah. We do have a book that was written for the 50th birthday, to celebrate their 50th birthday. So we have a history book, but he's got the real stories.
What, I mean, a person to be able to sit down and talk to, and how incredible it is that you can sit down and chat with him and continue to learn. So let's talk about this 58th celebration that we have coming up on May 27th. Where is it taking place here?
It's taking place here. Friday evening, we're opening things up. We're moving all this equipment and stuff out and putting chairs out, and we're just going to have a good old-fashioned jam. So whatever instrument you want to bring, just bring it on down and join the jam. We've got we'll have a lot of good musicians here, but we've got a couple of special musicians that will be here. One is Jim Hurst, who is, let me make sure I get this right, 2-time Guitarist of the Year with the International Bluegrass Music Association. So that tells you something about his skills.
Yes.
And then J.P. Cormier, who is a Canadian musician that lived in the U.S. for many years. He's fantastic, and he's coming down, he's driving down to join us. And they should both be here Friday. Then Saturday, we're going to have tours available of the shop, and some of the guys are going to be here working for the first couple of hours, so you can actually come in and see work taking place. And you got to see some of that.
It's a sight. Like, it is the detail that goes into the guitars, but to see them, the start of how that guitar is started.
The raw wood.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the finished product. Yeah.
So people can come and check that out that Saturday, May 27th. Now, is the jam session on the 26th, that Friday, is that open to the public?
That's open to the public, and Saturday as well. Again, the tours will start about 8:30. We'll have some opening remarks around 9. And then the rest part of the morning, JP and Jim are both going to be offering some guitar workshops. Then we'll break for lunch. And then in the afternoon, David Tipton and Steve Kerr, I'm referencing this book because they actually wrote the book about the history of Gallagher. They're going to be doing a presentation, and Don is joining them. And Don is bringing a bit of his own presentation. He's even being a projector, so he's always good at telling the background and the story. So he's going to be joining us. So the afternoon will be very rich as well. Then we'll break, go to dinner, and then the First Baptist Church has offered their fellowship hall, and Jim and JP will be offering a concert that's open to the public. We're not charging tickets. We will be passing the hat, so to speak, to support the musicians, but it's an excellent opportunity to hear these musicians that are just top-notch.
Piece of history.
Yes. Yeah.
Right there. So again, you have the 58th celebration of Gallagher Guitar coming up May 26th that evening and May 27th on Saturday at full time right here at Gallagher Guitar Co. in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. What is that address exactly?
118 North Walnut Street, just one block off the square.
And you see it right there at the bottom of your screen. So of course you can go back and watch this again so you can again get the information once more, get the address, and be here for the 58th celebration of Gallagher Guitars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David Mathis, we are so happy to have you, and so nice of you to give us your time.
Well, thank you.
Love it. All right, stick here. There's more coming up on Mornings on Main Street right after this.
There's a lot to consider when it comes to choosing a Medicare plan. That's where Health Markets Insurance Agency can help. Independent licensed insurance agents who work with Health Markets can answer your questions about the different parts of Medicare, when you can enroll, benefits, costs, and more. Speak to a local licensed insurance agent today to get started on your Medicare journey.
I'm so excited about this new show.
Dino Trek is back again this year. It's bigger than we've ever had it before.
When they're about 5 months old, we'll start to see them sticking their head out of the pouch, or you might see a foot come out or a tail.
It's like an Airbnb for Joey's. Now, you're not going to see all three of them together because cats in general don't get along unless it's time to get along, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Well, we're 2/3 of the way there. It's animals, nature, and fun. That's what we're all about. But during that time, we hope that you also learn something, that you're inspired to want to learn something.
What's new at the zoo with Jim Bar 2.
Catch At the Zoo exclusively on Main Street Media TV. Check our on-screen TV guide for days and times.
Welcome back. Walk where David Crockett walked at David Crockett State Park in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. To tell us all about it, we have our Tennessee traveler, Tom Adkinson, with us once again today. Hello, Tom.
Howdy, ma'am.
What fun. I mean, reading this article, I'm just like, I want to go here. I want to go to this park. You have a number of hikes there. There's a place to eat. What else? What do we need to know before we go?
I think the main thing about David Crockett State Park is that it tells the real history of a very notable person in Tennessee and American history. And lots of people know Davy Crockett from Walt Disney and the movies, but David Crockett was quite the pioneer, quite the public servant, quite the hero of things. Not exactly at all like the stuff we saw on TV and at the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
So going to David Crockett State Park in Lawrenceburg is learning history.
So as you said in the article, he most likely did not kill a bear at the age of 3.
Yes, the Disney theme song says killed a bear when he was only 3. No, very, very unlikely. He was born over in East Tennessee, a little community now called Limestone, and got to Lawrence County in 1817. And he had a second wife. His first wife had died. They had a blended family. And he was trying to set up business. He had an operation on Shoal Creek with a grist mill, a powder mill, and a distillery. And everything was going great for him in a lot of regards until a flash flood took his whole operation away.
Wow. And, they're at the park. So I was reading it has a little over 1,300 acres. How do they have it set up? Are there like placards out so you can follow the history, or is there a building that has all of the information for Davy Crockett?
Much of the story is at a modestly sized but very nice Crockett Museum. It's deep in the park and very, very well presented. Lots of or several very good information-laden plaques. They're the kinds that you need to just stand there and read and absorb, because they tell with great detail the facts of this man's life. When the flood hit, he moved on farther west to Obion County, Tennessee, which is near Reelfoot Lake, killed some more bears, and also got elected to the U.S. Congress.
Yes.
And eventually he got at cross purposes with President Andrew Jackson. One of the ironies is that he had served under Jackson in the Creek War earlier in his life, but he and Jackson didn't see eye to eye at all. And Crockett lost an election. Crockett got mad and just said, I'm out of here, and went to Texas. And we know the rest of how the rest of his life went.
The rest is history, that's for sure. As a history buff, and you're going through what they have there, is there a fact about Davy Crockett that surprised you or that you may not have known?
Well, very interestingly, he was barely literate, at least when he started into public service. In Lawrence County, he became a justice of the peace, a militia colonel, a Tennessee representative, and obviously got a little bit better. But he was very much a public servant and an outdoorsman and a man of strong conviction. He held his turf.
Well, what else does the park offer? So you have some trails there. What else is offered?
There are about 10 miles of trails.
Nice.
Part of it is on the Trail of Tears route. It is the actual ground that the Indians who were being pushed west were forced to take. And so hiking a trail there takes on some historical significance. There are 97 campsites. There's a 40-acre lake that's very, very pretty, and a nice restaurant. One of the oddities of Tennessee is that you can get a cocktail, you can get a glass of wine at the State Park restaurant, but oh no, No beer here.
That makes no sense. That's funny. That's interesting. Well, what about the festival? There's a festival that happens there as well.
Correct. During the summer, the park rangers have a series of programs to be attentive to and maybe plan a schedule around. And then in August, there's a weekend festival, David Crockett Days, and lots of fun frontier-related activities. I am sure you will hear the sound of a musket being fired.
Cool.
And so, indeed, there's an annual festival, but David Crockett State Park is well worth a visit, just any day, any time of year.
Last question for you. Is this a day trip thing or one tour we need to plan a couple days?
Oh, you can enjoy the park as a day trip, depending on where you live in Tennessee. I live in Nashville, of course. It's an hour and a half, maybe a little bit more down there. That's not a big deal. But if I were a camper, or especially an RV camper, man, I'd plant myself there for a couple of 3 days.
Good to know. And I tell you, in my head, all I can hear right now is Davy Crockett. That is what's going through my head right now.
King of the wild frontier.
Yes, sir. Well, for all of us, we appreciate this information. For everyone else, get out there and enjoy David Crockett State Park. Tom, thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep traveling.
We'll do it. Until the next time. Stick with us here on Mornings on Main Street. We have just a touch more right after this.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Welcome back. Let's take a look back now at Tom Adkinson's book signing of his book, 100 Things to Do in Nashville Before You Die. Here's a look at those who turned out. This was at Elliston Place Soda Shop in Nashville. I met our other friend, Catherine Mayhew, there for lunch so we could support Tom and his book. Again, it was a great turnout. If you would like to pick up his book, again, that's 100 Things to Do in Nashville Before You Die. You can do that at your area bookstore. And let me tell you, for most of us, we can start checking off the list as soon as we open up to the first page. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Mornings on Main Street this morning. We hope you'll come back on Wednesday. We have a lot more in store for you tomorrow. See you then.